What's up, guys? This is Heis, and as you can see, there is more than just me. We're going to participate in what we're calling Mark's Madness for 2025. It's kind of season 5.5 of the 3/4 show. Huge thank you to Ellis, who is our guest and who did all of this ridiculous amount of work. I think, Leighton, you came up with the idea kind of with Ellis something, but we asked...
I came up with the idea, and I sourced the data from the nerds, but Ellis created what you see.
Ellis created
my idea and made it amazing.
So you share the blame for what's about to happen?
Yes.
I think we all share the blame.
No. If this goes poorly, it's all Leighton's idea. If it goes great, we'll talk about sharing the blame. Leighton, you pitched me this during the Big E, and I was like, that sounds like Locomotive Versus. I do that all the time. We can make this happen.
Right.
And that's why I talked to you about it, because it sounded like stuff you already do.
It's a very advanced version of your Locomotive Versus. It's a March Madness version, which is apparently, that's a thing that they do in sports every March. There's madness. Sports ball. Something. Anyway.
What's the madness?
What is the madness? All right, we're going to go and take a look at the rules here. Rules. Timmy Turner. We're going to have up to 5 minutes. Ellis has a timer ready. We're going to have up to 5 minutes for us to discuss the locomotives as written based on the submission form. Which engine would win in a fight? Which one is better for its purpose? Which one is more cursed? Why would you pick either one? And would Brett fit in this locomotive? Them's what we call important details. And then Ellis will help us out with some details there as well. And then after the 5 minutes, Ellis will give us his stats, because Ellis also runs fun locomotive trading card things that we've talked about a couple times. So he is the stat man, and you're actually partially responsible for why SteamLocomotive.com slowly gets better, allegedly.
Yeah, believe it or not, you are called out by name in the Montezuma entry.
I helped.
I have the statistical analysis for all these. Well, in as much as I can, we will get to why some of them have not a full sheet of stats. But the winners of this are going to turn into trading cards. We haven't worked out exactly how they're going to be sold yet. They might be available on my site. They might be available in the Heist store. We're going to figure that out. The further a locomotive gets, the more likely it is to get a rarer card. So,
TBD. It's going to be fun.
We're going to have our selections, but you know what? If the people in the comments section want to produce the People's Choice Awards for this...
No. Everything that is said here is accurate beyond any stretch of the imagination. We are infallible. We have never said anything wrong in our entire lives.
There will be no issues. There will be no problems. Nope. We will say nothing wrong. We will get nothing wrong. And we're saying facts, not opinions.
Right? Of course. Nothing. No opinions at all. None whatsoever.
Anyways, we'll all vote and figure out across the three of us, as Ellis is our host here, to determine who moves on to the round. We've got a whole bracket. So today, we're going to go through the left side of the bracket. The first 8 matches, we'll do the next 8 next time, and then the tournament stuff happens. Okay.
Tournament play.
I assume that we go... This is our first matchup next?
Yeah, are you ready?
I guess I will just have to be.
This is first out of the gate.
Let's see what the people have submitted.
Oh, it's even worse as I know this bench.
You do know this bench.
There's a picture of me on this bench that we can't show. I'm positive of that, but I know this bench.
Oh no, we can. I can grab it.
No. That is unnecessary, I can assure you.
I genuinely almost passed out from laughing there for a brief second.
I can show you guys the picture after the fact. You've probably seen this picture of me.
Probably, it's fine. Anyway, our match number 1 is DNRG's number 1, the Montezuma, versus a park bench.
Montezuma submitted by a lovely fan. Park bench submitted by Leighton. He was very insistent that this match happen.
Why have you done this to us? Because
he's not wrong.
There is a reasonable chance that we have to pick the park bench over Montezuma. We love Zuma.
Not making a trading card of a park bench.
Honestly,
what is the tractive effort of the
park bench just to piss Ellis off? That is worth the content.
So tractive effort of a park bench. Do you have to lay rails up to a park bench and determine the weakest locomotive that will not push it over to determine its tractive effort? Is that how that works? No. Like a one-sided tug-of-war, and if the bench doesn't break, that's its tractive effort?
How deep can we
Once
bury
again,
the bench?
Montezuma chained to a park bench. Which one's going to win? If that park bench is cemented into the ground enough, it could be a challenge.
It's true. If it's any of the park benches at the museum, though, Montezuma's going to pull the whole lot.
What would win, the park bench or a gust of wind? What are the categories by which we are judging things again?
Let's see.
Who would win in a fight? Which one was a better engine for its purpose? Which one is more cursed? Why would you pick either one? And would Brett fit in this locomotive?
So I think
Who would win in a fight?
I think we have... I mean, technically Montezuma would still win unless it was God's strongest park bench, as funny as it is.
Let's say it's Montezuma.
We'll give the choo-choo that. Which was better for its purpose?
Probably the park bench.
I would bet you... You know, that would be a really interesting study. What lasts longer? This locomotive for 17 years or a park bench? I would imagine you would hope most park benches last longer than 17 years.
You would hope last way longer than 17 years, especially like a solid, well-built piece of street furniture. Like, you could have a park bench that's going to last for 100 years.
The other thing is, Montezuma's intended purpose was as a passenger engine, for which it was used for about
4 seconds. Yeah, very, very short amount of time.
Montezuma, regardless of how it performed as a locomotive, as a passenger locomotive, which is what it was built for, it was really not very good. The park bench...
I mean, it was
set on some barrels that are pretty comfy.
It was probably pretty great between Denver and Pueblo until the railroad decided to go, hey, what if we turned right?
It was so great, they just kept them all at Pueblo eventually.
It's true. It's true.
They never left Pueblo. They're still there.
She sent half of her to Salida, but anyway.
Park bench can actually support 3 passengers.
So... Point 2 to the park bench.
Hey, I've seen many humans en Ute after they derailed the passenger car. We have photographic evidence of that.
And the bicycle.
It's true.
Yeah, but that's Ute. That's not Montezuma.
That is true. One could assume the same would have happened with Montezuma. What's next? Would Brett fit in it?
I think that's the last one.
Which one is more cursed?
Which one's more? Oh, the park bench.
Duh.
Yeah, you added a park bench to a locomotive rating competition. Yes, it's being stalked by a locomotive, but that's irrespective of the point. It's a park bench in which foamers can sit, which makes it a really bad park bench. Oops.
It's a really smelly park bench, potentially.
Wear deodorant, kids. Anyway.
Just hose it off at least.
Please.
Why would you pick one of these? This one's a nice place to sit, and we're all presently in a nice place to sit. That one is a locomotive that you could fit in your garage.
We do like Montezuma.
We do
like Montezuma. Yeah,
I'm
going to have to go with Montezuma on this one.
Yeah, and then will Brett fit? I think the answer is no on either case, depending on orientation.
I guess.
If we laid you down, you would probably fit between the engine and the tender, but you wouldn't fit on the park bench.
I would not fit laying on the park
its head in it.
The thing about that park bench that photo doesn't really capture, that park bench is very small. That one in particular.
The forced perspective makes me think that 2124 is very far away, but yeah.
Sit on the park bench, though. Can you actually sit on the park bench in its anatomically intended manner?
Well, he'll be able to sit on the seat box of the Montezuma. He might be eating his knees, but...
We are at 5 minutes, by the way.
No.
Oh, that was easy.
I cannot provide a statistical analysis, as you might expect. Why did we have to start this with the one that is the worst for stats? Because how on earth do I get stats?
Because there are no stats for this and less stats for that. Yeah.
Well, Mark, you actually helped a lot with the stats for Montezuma. Now I have basically a full sheet. I do have more questions, but that could be saved for later. So, yeah,
I say we all have to vote. Here. We all have to vote Montezuma. Like,
I'm gonna have to vote Montezuma, but the park bench put up a good fight.
It really did.
Okay.
To all the doubters of the folks that helped me make these cards saying, oh god, we're gonna have to make a card of the park bench. Yeah, no way these guys weren't letting Montezuma die in the first round. Come on.
You're a doubter.
We're gonna let Montezuma get absolutely clobbered by something. Even if it is the smallest 280 known to man, it's still twice her size. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to match number 2. What in the
Okay.
What? Okay.
Imagine then, whichever one follows these, it's going to be going up against Montezuma.
Why does it have 2 headlights?
That's a great question.
This was a note provided by the person who submitted this.
Gosh, Bernard.
For some reason.
Oh, for some reason. Okay, good. Yeah, so we have the Brooklyn Bath and Coney Island number 1, George, and the St. Law. The letters, man. Sometimes they change order. Salt Lake and Ogden number 21, Morningside. So a 240 and an 042. Okay. Yeah.
What's our first one? Which one's in a fight?
Man. Well,
Can
one
we
of
get
them.
some stats?
Calculated. George has the same tractive effort as Montezuma. Same
That's-
cylinder size, boiler pressure, and driver diameter.
Cool.
That is hilarious.
It's got a lovely shed.
I was going to say, so we need to build one of those, sans the smoking parlor on the top.
I don't know. I think that's the best part, but that's. As far as Morningside goes, there's very little in the way of stats,
I'm
but it is
shocked.
slightly newer.
And it's a porter. I see the
Yeah.
badge.
Yep.
It's got 2 headlights, and it's got a trailing truck because it's dummy thick in the butt, which means it might have a hope and a prayer of a firebox. Whereas I don't think George ain't got nothing going on back here.
So,
Does the headlight add more tractive effort?
Looking at the note that Josh provided, for some reason it needs 2 headlights. One in the traditional location, and the other on the pilot beam like an overgrown British engine. Which, I think the biggest insult here is not calling it a British engine specifically, is calling it an overgrown British engine, because this thing is about the size of a Chevy Suburban.
So, which means who would win in a fight? It or anything
medium-sized
at
British
any of
locomotive, right?
the... Yeah. Hi, Britain. The wheel spins. It lands on Britain once again.
we do like the UK. We need to get over there. I think Morningside wins in a fight, right?
I think so.
I think Morningside wins in a fight.
Yeah.
Even though it does say
Larger
porter on the
cylinders.
side.
You know what? If part of your strategy for the fight is to blow up and throw parts at your enemy, that's still victory.
Love that.
All right,
Here
fair.
for that.
Which was better for purpose and which is cursed.
Oh, cursed is definitely the
George.
Morningside.
Yeah.
It's got 2
Really?
headlights in a British configuration. That's cursed.
Well, if this is an inspection...
But aside from the second headlight, it's a normal locomotive. George, you turn it upside down, it says tough shed on the bottom.
Yeah, I have to argue. I have to agree with Brett and argue with Leighton. Yeah, you could unbolt this headlight and it would be fine. This, if you unbolt the cab, there's no cab.
You know what? I'll let Toby the Tram's Brooklyn cousin win.
Hey, my name is Tobias. Or sorry,
Toby.
George.
George.
Georgia, the concrete jungle. What is
Which
the
was
next
more fit
guy?
for which was more fit for purpose we kind of skipped over.
I'd
Were
also like
these
to point out
both-
that in 1910, they recognized that Morningside was weird and it should be saved.
It exists?
No, it did not.
Oh.
It got cut up in 1915. But people talked about saving it, which, if you go into historic preservation, is like 90% of the conversation.
It's true. So I would argue that it looks like George is some amount of an inspection locomotive, and therefore that makes he was more fit for his purpose, because you don't need much of a locomotive to be an inspection locomotive, and as we know, Montezuma's stats, not much of a locomotive. So
Is it an inspection engine or is it a steam motor, a dummy for pulling
It's
horse
just a
carts?
steam dummy.
It's a steam dummy. It was the first locomotive that they had, and this Brooklyn, Bath, and Coney Island. They were a transit railway in Brooklyn.
well,
Okay.
that would still be fine for its purpose, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Zuma
like
was built in 1870 or 1871?
71.
There's only one.
when was she built in 1871? Because this engine was built in April of 1871.
Zuma's May.
And imagine, like, these two are sitting in the erecting halls next to each other. Which one gets the shed?
Pretty much. Yeah, Zuma was May, so...
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Alright, so lightning round, we gotta go through them. Wins in a fight is Morningside. For purpose.
It's a wash. Which one's more cursed? Inspection locomotive. Why would you pick either one? Shrug. Would Breton fit in this locomotive? I think neither.
No.
I'm inclined to just vote Morningside because
I'm inclined to vote Morningside.
Hold on, let me
George.
Let me give you the stats.
Okay.
Which is to say, all of the stats that I have for these, which amounts to a total of 3 points. Morningside gets 2 points, and George gets 1 point. I don't have much else.
So Morningside does have higher stats, according to Ellis's paradigm. So that's 2 votes for Morningside, 1 vote for George. Therefore, Morningside's moving forward, and we're moving on. I see why we're making this many episodes.
Here. Yesterday, Mark, you and I talked about min-maxing D&D character sheets.
It's true.
Both of these locomotives are an example of just minning the character sheets. There's no max. You just min.
You crit failed every character roll you had.
George is a hell of a bard, though.
Yes.
That's a really good assessment of George. I like George a lot. I'm bummed that he's not moving on.
George is very cool.
I love George.
George is cool.
Next matchup.
Match number 3. Oh man, we got some biggest dickus going on here. Normal locomotives. Yes. Pure Marquette 1225. Uh-oh, we're going to make all of Michigan mad no matter what gets said. And Boston and Maine 4016. So we've got a Van Swergen Burke. Proven design, restored by a group of college students. It's a magic train, allegedly. The other one is
what kind of train this is?
No, it's a bald one, according to that kid. Anyway,
yes. Right.
Lima type firebox sits on the. I have a model of one of these across my office right now. Actually.
You got them?
Yes, I have both the B&M one and the SP one from Broadway Limited. Spoilers for a future video. Broadway made these. The little detail for this, the 4016, it is technically an articulated, because firebox sits on the trailing truck. Accurate statement for almost every firebox and almost every trailing truck. The trailing truck being the primary frame connection to the tender with the drawbar, and then the firebox and the frame of the cab and the everything is woof. That
is awful.
That is very awful.
What I hear is that we found a worse trailing truck design than the K-37s.
Yeah, this would be the way to do it worse. Who would win in a fight? I don't know. These are two big...
Probably the Van Sweringen.
Hunkin' Burks. I don't know their tractive efforts.
Because the B&M Burks were the first Burks. In fact, they're credited with being basically the first... No?
The B&A
Are they not the first Superbauer ones? Or the B&A ones?
Boston Albany, neighbors.
It says Boston in the name. It's the same thing.
At East Coast.
Yeah. Don't at me.
See her fighting.
It's
but
fine.
The B&M one is an earlier design, is it not? Okay.
Who would win in a fight? The 1225 is going to steal the 4016's lunch money and then kick it on the floor because it's got an ugly forehead.
Ooh, you're saying that the 1225 is a bully?
I think it might.
Wow. Because they're ugly?
Wow.
It might be.
How dare you? I mean, 1225 wins in a fight.
Apparently, of that particular species of Berkshire, the Père Marquette ones are the better one, or no, nickel plate ones are the better ones because they've got roller bearing axle.
Somewhere in Kentucky, Jason Subchinski has just been activated. I've heard this whole entire argument about which one's the best, and I don't remember, and I also don't really care. They're all neat.
The answer is neither. It's the C&O ones, duh.
Exactly, it's true. Which one was the better engine for its purpose? One would argue the 1225 because it didn't immediately get sold to the SP.
I was going to say, considering the third point on the B&M one is just emphasizing how much it sucked and was hated.
Yep,
I'm going to go with 1225.
And then, which is more cursed? I'm sorry, the coffin feed water heater, very neat, but also, I mean, it makes anything look stupid.
Look.
Yeah.
It's a look.
I think you mean awesome. I'm sorry.
It's cool, but it's cursed.
I don't hate it, but it is a look.
You know what? It just looks big, it looks bad, it looks mean. that is not a passenger engine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting poor on your Railroad Tycoon 3 looks department for passenger rating for your stats. You gotta add that one to your stat collection, Ellis.
Hold on, I got the thing right here. Hold on.
You've got the printout.
It's got the fold out.
Yes, I have it somewhere.
It's happening.
Somewhere in my mother's computer room that exists. That was a nostalgia trap card when I saw that in a certain place. But anyway, why would you pick either one? I mean, the Van Swearingen Burke. Well, why do you not pick a Van Swearingen Burke?
I wish the Rio Grande had bought Van Swearingen Burks.
We might still have one. Yeah. And then would Brett fit in this locomotive? Brett would fit in any of these locomotives, anything, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably, more or less. Although I have a picture of you not quite fitting in the Santa Fe 3415 smoke box, and it's pretty big, but, life's hard.
Well, we're going to test out a 2900 smoke or firebox and see how it goes.
Spoilers, Leighton. We don't know if that's going to happen.
No.
Okay, so I guess we vote 1225 moves on.
Well, hold on. If you're done chitter chattering, let me get you the statistical analysis. We didn't hit 5 minutes here. So we actually have full stat sheets for both of these. The B&M Burke wins statistically 20 points to 16. It is a clean sweep in terms of heating ability for the most part. The PR Marquette engine beats that out a little bit in firebox area, but otherwise clean sweep. It's also lighter than the PR Marquette engine in almost, in every way that matters. But it has a very similar tractive effort. It's only 3,000 pounds shy. 1225 has 69,000 pounds, and the B&M Burke has 66,000 pounds. So
it still gets its lunch money taken, but not by a lot.
Yeah, they both have bigger valve gear. They're both built by Lima, and the PR Marquette engine being over 10 years newer doesn't really seem to affect it all that much.
Right.
Who's Lima?
In aesthetics.
I don't know who Lima is.
NATO phonetic looking at.
Lima balls.
You got me.
Oh, Jesus.
All right,
I have to... This one, the 4016 just loses on the fact that all of the running forces of the train are being translated through the trailing truck.
Yeah,
the trailing truck is the frame. It is technically inarticulated. I cannot stress that enough, how cursed that is. So yeah, 1225, despite having less points, you don't have points for special BS like that in your system. Special modifier, bad design.
Regardless of the stats, I think you'd be hard-pressed to argue that the Van Swearingen Burks are worse locomotives.
Yeah, I think the Van Swearingens are going to end up being a top 4 contender, probably.
A force to be reckoned with.
Very much so.
Deservedly so, probably.
But yeah.
In many ways, one of the greatest locomotive designs ever in steam, I would say.
For real, yeah.
They got the formula right, and then they made a shit out of them.
Yes.
Very true.
On to match 4.
Next match.
Uh-oh.
Why are they British?
Uh-oh. We've got British. We've got the GWR 2999 Lady of Legend and the GWR 7808 Cookham Manor.
So
are these... They're both 10-wheelers. They're both 10-wheelers, and they're both
They're Great
British.
Western, so they're the same locomotive.
Are these both... I've played Train Simulator once. Are these both Black 5s? I don't think they are, because they've got the not Keystone Firebox. What's the word?
Belpaire Firebox.
Belpaire Firebox. I'm sober over here, and I'm like,
it's the Penzi.
Brains. Yes. So
and neither of these are the Hogwarts Express.
Oh, single tier. So the one on the left is a new build on Hall frames. Weirdly enough, a Saint was rebuilt into a Hall as well. Can be turned into an Atlantic, which would be worse, but that's okay. And they were green. Yes, this one was also green. Cookham Manor.
We can distinctly say the Great Western Railway locomotives were green.
We can say that. It's true. Crew favorites purchased directly by British Rail into preservation. And are we sure these are different locomotives?
I mean, Great Western joke here.
This is kind of... They're similar engines at two ends of a technological spectrum.
I was going to say, this one's got external branch pipes and this one doesn't, and that sparks some amount of conversation in my mind.
Yeah.
The Saint is comparatively very old.
Yeah. The Saint was like the first 10-wheeler design that they said, copy pasta, yes.
Okay.
The Manors were Great Western in the 40s going, or in the late 30s and 40s going, we need more locomotives, and we like these, but we want them not old. Let's make these, and then, like, British Rail went on to build some. So, I would say, you know, if it's a locomotive that you've got new standard designs created, and you're still going, let's make that old one. See, that's pretty good.
Were the Manors the second to last ones behind the counties?
I think so, yes.
See, we care about British stuff occasionally.
Yeah, and they had the itty-bitty collet tenders as opposed to the other big tenders. So these locomotives here have the same tender. If you want to talk about bullshit tender swapping, the K-37s are nothing. The Great Western changed tenders like we changed underwear.
Brett said that we care about British things, and I was like, I mouthed to the camera audibly while you were talking, I know nothing about British Rail.
Well, these are pre-BR, you're fine. Which one wins in a fight? Ellis, by the stats?
We can. I'll give you the statistical analysis later. It's pretty close, though. There are.
We could make a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
New one, more, better, less clapped out. Shrug.
Yeah. The Manor wins because it breaks down less.
Although I will point out, this locomotive question, Lady of Legend, is a new build. It was built in 2019, so it's maybe by some measures a lot less clapped out.
I know what I said.
Suppose so. Yeah.
Lady of, you know the Top Gear, or sorry, the Grand Tour meme of, so he's not coming then. Yeah, that's Lady of Legend. Unfortunately, she apparently during her first few years liked to break.
Oh.
A lot.
That's
bathtub curve. It's fine.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Let's go with the Manor. New thing.
New thing. Which one was better for its purpose? I suppose Manor, because it was built as an actual locomotive historically. Shrug. If we're thinking about that specific locomotive rather than the design as a whole.
Yeah. The Manors, if memory serves, also have a lot lighter axle loading, so they can go more places.
Yeah.
They were a little bit more.
Yes.
What's the word I'm looking for? Usable on multiple things.
Yeah.
They were 63 versus 67.
Yeah, they were built as a Swiss Army engine. The Great Western actually had a pretty cool system for classifying locomotives on routes. It was a colored dot on the side of the cab. So you can't see that on either of these, because I think Perspective on Manor, and they hadn't started doing that yet on the paint scheme that Lady of Legend is in. But it was based on axle loading. So a red route was 20-ton axle loading. Blue was 17 and change. Yellow was 16 and change. Uncolored, so no dot, 14. So the Manors were something that could kind of go. If I remember correctly, I think they fall in the uncolored category, and as such can go anywhere. As far as like better engine for its purpose, I'm going to go with the Manors.
Which one's more cursed?
Lady of Legend is a little cursed just because it has like boiler cab.
Well,
and also it's a conglomeration of other locomotive parts, and I know what I said.
Okay.
Specifically that one.
And
for a time.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, would you pick either one? But one's
I'd pick
very
the
new.
Saint personally. I think they're cool.
Neat. And would Brett fit in it? Presumably as well as he could on either of them. I don't know.
Just as long as you're not going backwards in a rainstorm.
I will let you, you two British Anglophile foamers over there, make your choices. I know what model trains you both have.
Anything? Well, I say that as I'm playing with a Stepney pencil topper. I don't have anything British. Hush. Yet.
Statistically speaking, like I said, it's pretty close. The 7808 Cookham Manor wins 18-16 once everything is factored in here. There are a couple of ties here and a lot of really close numbers. One of the major differences is the Cookham Manor is superheated and Lady of Legend is not.
Oh.
So
that makes a not a small amount of difference, a large amount of difference.
Yeah,
Indeed.
took a manor class.
The Manor class, I guess.
Manor.
Yeah, that's gotta go. One's a soak, one's a superheat.
If you're doing a new build, even if it wasn't superheated back in the day, and you could superheat it, why wouldn't you?
Leighton, you're gonna get me
Leighton.
more people asking me to do that to the Montezuma during Montezuma
Leighton.
Mondays, and I will drive to your house to put my fist through your throat.
Oh my god.
Next pairing.
Yes, on to the next match. Okay, we have the B&M Black Arrow and the Norfolk and Western 405. It says 605 on the cab. It says 605 on the cab. I think we have...
You have found a typo. I knew there would be at least one in here somewhere.
We found Ellis's typo. Okay, so looking at what we've got here, absolute unit, largest mixed duty class in New England. The names were originally from Contest Entries, which is fun. New England is best England. And then Norfolk and Western, built without shrouding or lightweight rods due to the war, did eventually get streamlined and powerful and well-liked LOCOs. So we have a B&M Mountain of some variety versus a J.
Diet J class.
It is a J.
It is a J class.
Yeah. It's just missing.
J, it's just not fully phallic.
It's just, it's not streamlined, but it doesn't have the same lightweight rods.
Was trying to find a way to make the joke that Leighton did. Thank you, Leighton. Yes.
Which would win in a fight? Probably the J.
Probably the J, because, the Js have deceptively small drivers, and they went deceptively fast for that. They're only 70-inch drivers. I know that off the top of my head. The other one being mixed duty, it might be a close shave, but I would put money on the J. The Js are also up there for best designs. Yeah.
The J's are some of the most modern steam locomotives in the U.S. So.
Yeah.
And the J doesn't have a centipede tender, which the centipede tender on the B&M engine looks utterly... I will not deny that.
Factually
However,
correct.
this
Ask
J
Ed
class
about taking the
back up
844
more
through a Y. Watch the head go, It's fine.
So the J wins in a fight.
J wins in a fight, which is better for its purpose. They're both kind of a mixed use engine, aren't they, really?
Well, the J's were specifically passenger engines. They tried putting them into freight at the end. They weren't the best.
Okay, but the J's, even with 70-inch drivers, still had top speeds over 100, a fair bit over 100 from what I've heard, so they both probably did really well for their service careers, yeah. Do we have any of the 4100s that survive? We have at least the one J.
The only large B&M steam that survives is 3713 over there at Steamtown.
Which is awesome.
It's a great engine.
Big
Someday
chooch. Someday. So I guess
Shrug J.
Shrug the J, I guess. Which is more cursed? Do we say the Black Arrow just because does it have...
It's got the little itty-bitty sideburn smoke deflector.
It does have the sideburn smoke deflectors.
They're awful.
I was just going to say its name's not Black Arrow. Its name is Chad. Or whatever the bad guy or the bad annoying kid that wore a beanie in Fairly Odd Parents that had the awful sideburns and the acne. It's kind of a little bit.
See that?
Yeah.
This is your divorced mom's new boyfriend that you really don't like, but you can see why she likes him.
Now arriving on track 5, Keith.
Yes. Why would you pick either one?
And rides a Harley.
You pick the J because you pick the J because you pick the J, right? Like
the J is, I think, the objectively correct choice here.
Yeah.
That said,
the B&M Mountain's cool.
I'm going for the B&M Mountain just because it's neat.
It is really cool. Yeah. Check out the size of its ding
also,
ding.
box talk drivers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote overall J.
I would agree with the J. And I think it's a moot point of whether Brett would fit. Yes.
Yeah, it certainly is. Not small locomotives.
No.
Most of these first rounds are going to be some pretty even pairings, so I think whether he fits is going to be a yes on both or a no on both.
Montezuma versus the J. Well, let's see.
Well,
the question then becomes, can Montezuma fit inside the J? Which the answer is still yes.
Are you allowed to fold it? Are you allowed to take it apart like the
Can you put it in the tender? Because you could put it in the tender.
I'm doing the math. Montezuma without its pilot and without the cab, but if it was the running gear, the frame, and the boiler barrel, and no stack, I think it actually would fit in the big boy's firebox.
Ellis, do you have the stats at hand?
I do.
How much coal does the J carry?
How much coal does the J carry? That's 26 tons of coal in there, and 22,000 gallons of water. It's a larger tender than the Black Arrow's tender in both dimensions, and of course, it's much heavier.
Yes,
and this might come as no surprise. Statistically, 605 blows 4113 out of the water with 24 points versus 14 and all the stats that we check for. It's got 10,000 pounds more of tractive effort. Basically the only thing, and it runs the table in heating ability and power computations. Basically the only place that 4113 has a leg up in this department is that it has a
it's the sideburns. That's the only way it wins is the sideburns.
But yeah, no, 605 runs the table here.
Yep. So 605 is moving on, and we're gonna take a look at our next matchup. Number 6. Don't you do this to us? Don't you do this to us? Who made this bracket?
Everyone that Leighton picked all the matches.
They're not, but they are.
This is evil. Okay, so we have Southern Pacific 3811 and AC 9, the forward facing one, and then we have the 4278, which is presumably an AC 11 or AC 12.
So a backwards facing one.
Yeah, it's a backwards AC 9. Yeah. So for 3811, SP's largest, heaviest locomotives, built to burn low-quality coal, eventually converted to oil, got used on passenger trains. These things were used as passenger helpers a lot of the time, which is why I need one in HO scale. Anyway. And then 4278, unique and iconic, powerful, and has all the bells and whistles and horns you could want. Yes, true, and ain't no party like a Donner Party. Good memes. Who would win in a fight? I think...
The AC-9, yeah?
Shrug?
It does seem like a really fair fight there.
It would be a very fair fight, I think, because, I mean, they're almost exactly the same engine, that they've just...
This is the question I have. If the AC-9s did not have the Skyline casing, did not have the giant off cast plows, like, I want to elaborate or emphasize how much of a giant off that plow is there, would we find them as cool? Is it just the aesthetics?
Then it would just be a 2884 that would be like, whatever. But yeah, the Skyline casing and the pilot off of a GS on the front, it's like, yeah.
Streamlined and articulated, because why wouldn't you?
because our train is orange and red. That's why. Yeah.
Ooh, an AC-9 in daylight colors?
That could be a meme. Somebody Photoshop.
I'm down.
Somebody figure out a way to articulate streamlining and then have two sets. Maybe the engine's only got maybe the engine's only got the red, and it goes, and then the orange layer comes in on top, and the red pivots underneath the orange.
You're just making me think of the Santa Fe bendy boiler thing, the 21010, or the all the bendy boilers.
I hope that's not on this list. I hope that's not on this list. No, it's not.
But can I divert for a second and say that the Santa Fe as a whole does not get nearly as much flack for all the weird stuff they made.
They should be getting more flack.
The Santa Fe must be shamed into understanding what they did 120 years ago.
The Santa Fe was the cocaine problem of the West.
Quote Mark Huber, 2025.
Okay, also, Lionel, in their Lionelness, has done an AC-9 in a daylight paint scheme, and I just shared a couple pictures in the chat.
Is it awful?
I don't hate it.
No, it's actually pretty good.
No, I don't hate it either.
Oh, yeah. No, he's hot.
It's kind of cool.
So AC-9 wins in a fight. What's the next one?
I mean, I guess it's an even fair fight, I think, which is better for its purpose. Cab forward, I would assume, because there's a reason that the rest of them were that way. Which one's more cursed? Cab forward, because cab forward. It's neat, and we're kind of used to it, but it's still cursed.
But it's cursed.
Yeah. Why would you pick either one? I I mean, I would almost pick the AC9 because we don't have one anymore, and Southern Pacific should have saved more of their crap.
AC9 because streamlines your articulated.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with that.
The
because,
AC9s.
I mean, from a power perspective, Ellis, I'm assuming these are pretty similar.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
And would Brett fit in this locomotive? Correct. Moot point. Yes. Ellis, give us the stats.
To get into the cab forward, but
All right,
That's
so
true.
Baseline, the AC9 wins by 7 points.
Really?
19 against 12. Yeah. There are a lot of ties,
big.
like an above average amount of ties, because driver diameter is the same, boiler pressure is the same, cylinders are the same, tractive effort is the same, and minimum weight of rail is the same, which, yeah. And then the weight stats are kind of all over the place because the locomotives are very, very similar, but not quite identical. The AC9 wins in everything in heating ability and everything in power computations, except for the AC12 has more tubes, but like a handful more.
Why is that?
Which is interesting because going off of the steamlocomotive.com stats, I don't believe it accounts for fuel source in heating ability. It just talks about square footage.
Yes,
so if you consider that the AC9 has more heating area, however, it's a coal burner versus the higher caloric value of an oil burner, or that you get out of oil.
Sure.
They did eventually convert the AC9s to oil, though.
That's true.
They weren't coal burners forever.
Used a coal burning picture.
That's true. That's the one that was sent.
The SP Lines lettering is better looking than the big block Southern Pacific lettering. I said what I said, you can come for me.
I've got the wrong set of passenger cars. You and Joel can shut up, okay? It's interesting. So are the other stats different in terms of heating? Just like, is the firebox geometry different, or?
It's similar. Well, actually, yeah. So the firebox area is much larger on the AC9.
Well, coal. Okay, built as coal. Okay, yeah.
And then it has about 500 more square feet of evaporative heating surface. I don't know where they found all that, but because it has 20 more
superheating surface.
Yeah. Superheating surface. It's got 200 more square feet of superheating surface. So all told, it has about 700 more square feet of heating surface overall. Which actually brings the evaporative heating surface divided by cylinder volume over 200, which is kind of like a threshold. It's at 206.43, and the AC12 is at 193.06. Over 200. I'm not formally educated on all this. I'm a civil engineer. But usually I look at something with an over 200 value there more fondly. It can free steam better.
Sure.
So, and of course they have identical tractive effort. Like I said, it's
so we have to vote, and this is going to get interesting.
AC9.
AC9.
My vote doesn't matter, but I kind of lean towards the AC9 as well.
So do you save face? Or...
Do I save face? No, I think I picked the AC9 as well. I mean, obviously the AC12s are awesome, and I'm very thankful we have one in the cab forward as a concept. Super cool, but
really cool.
But Skyline cases you're
so
articulated. Cool. Come on, man. All right.
Yeah.
And moving on to
all of California hates us. Moving on.
All of California just got mad. Anyways, don't get too mad. The earthquake will cause you to separate from the country. Anyway, match number 7. We've gone British again.
Is it British again? Why is it GWR again?
Because when they didn't have a design department, they had a photocopier.
Okay, so we have the Olton Hall, which is labeled is that the one? Is that the one? That's the one. Okay, I was gonna say that name sounded familiar.
Copyright-free Wizard Express.
The copyright-free Wizard Express. Yes, legally distinct, not Harry Potter. Yep. Hey, look, it's another GWR 10-wheeler, except this one's red. Copyright-free Wizard Express, leaving from platform 6.5. Perfect. Hall Saint connection was already mentioned. Yep. And then the other side we have Pendennis Castle. Number 4079, won the IRL Locomotive Versus in 1925. I need to know what that means. Operated in Australia from 1977 to 1994, and it has extra cylinders, which you can see. Yeah. Oh, God.
So I'll explain the Locomotive Versus thing really quick.
Is it a 4-cylinder?
Yeah.
It is. So in 1925, the GWR lent this locomotive to the LNER for performance trials. And it made, so I'm just reading this out, It made the ascent from King's Cross to Finsbury Park regularly in less than 6 minutes, a feat that the A1s were unable to match. The LNER A1s, aka Flying Scotsman.
That's 3 kilometers shy of Plunker-Shikingham.
Oh yeah.
There's spit on my monitor now, Brett. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Which
Also, sorry, Britain.
The wheel spins and it lands once again on Britain. Who would win in a fight? They're both 10-wheelers, but this one's got extra cylinders, so I think Pendennis.
I think it's the castle.
The
castle is larger than the hall.
Yes, Pendennis, with the name of Pendennis being very nerdy, is gonna. He's gonna win the fight. Which was a better engine for its purpose? This one was great for the film, but I don't think that was its original purpose.
Wasn't its intended use? Shrug?
No, but it became a meme, and it became the first train set I ever got.
Oh,
that explains a lot.
I was 7. The Kmart by our house was going out of business, and my grandmother bought me my first electric train set, and it was a Bachmann Harry Potter. I wasn't allowed to watch Harry Potter, but I could have the train. And it had the black Bachmann track, which I very quickly learned was the bad kind.
Correct.
And that was my introduction to model railroading on a personal level. Was this locomotive?
And it was all downhill from there. Anytime I saw those at train shows, I always wanted one when I was a kid because who didn't love Harry Potter? Duh.
Mark, you're an adult with money.
That's true. That's true. I could have this power. It's fine.
I think if you ask Lori, the Pendennis Castle is going to be more cursed just because of how much of a pain in the locomotive whistle it is to lubricate.
Yeah, I was going to say 4-cylinder awesome, 4-cylinder 10-wheeler also cursed. If you had more loading gauge, Britain, you could do the same amount of work with half of the running gear on the same size engine. Just saying.
You could have a streamlined AC9.
You could, and do 4 times the amount of work. Probably slightly slower, but details. Yeah, definitely. I think we've lost Brett. His camera's at least turned off, but I think we can all agree 4-cylinder more cursed. Why would you pick either one? I mean, I would. Do you pick for Harry Potter, or do you pick? I know that Lori, he had experience with Pendennis, so it's like, oh, my friend did stuff with this one. That's kind of cool.
I'm back for just a second. Yes, 4-cylinder is cursed, but the cursed child? Really?
Oh. You made a good point. You made a salient point there, my friend.
He has the receipts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Terrible. Yeah. Pendennis has 4 cylinders and is cursed, but Olton Hall is Horcrux adjacent, therefore curse adjacent. I see his point.
If we're cursed, then I'm gonna have to go with Grave. Also, it's a magical train. It is literally cursed.
Yeah. But could you run a normal train on a cursed railway? Like, the station platform is fake, right? And so presumably the exit of the station interlocking is also all fake. Note they never show that. And then when it's up on the route, like, okay, could just be a normal. How deep does the cursed go?
I'd like to point out that, Mark, you're rapidly going towards new content fodder of Ice reacts to the trains of Harry Potter. Where's the interlocking? Where is the magical PTC? How does magic work with positive train control?
Do they just I'm just now imagining a bored wizard swishing around a glass of brandy in the fireman's seat, just flinging coal into the firebox with his wand.
Eat crownus, blow downus. Boom!
This is going on my Trello.
Save us! Usable plugger, save us!
This is going on my Trello. Okay. Would Brett fit in the locomotive? Yes, I think both cases, because standard gauge. Shrug. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ellis, I guess, give us the stats.
All right. So this actually surprised me. Olton Hall takes it in the stats here.
Really?
It's 17-14, yeah, and there are a handful of funny ties in here. I mean, they both have wall shirts. They've got the same driver wheelbase, which is even funnier because photocopier. Same boiler pressure. Same superheating surface. Same flue tube length.
Real quick on the point of wall shirts. Internal wall shirts is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Also, 4-cylinder internal wall shirts.
Correct.
Mark, are
both
you getting my face right now?
Yeah. Yes.
That.
The,
Are you having a stroke?
Uh-oh.
4-cylinder internal wall shirts. No. What the f*** are you thinking?
Do you smell toast?
And now he's got to bleep it.
Olton
there's been
Hall
plenty
in
to
here is,
bleep.
wins in basically all the length and weight stats. It has a smaller tender, but it has a smaller tender. So,
But this one's got twice the engine, literally.
Yeah, I know. It unsurprisingly, more tractive effort out of 4079, better factor of adhesion too, and better heating ability, and somewhat better power output, power computations. But Olton Hall does get Power L1 and Power MT. Power MT is based on axle loading in no small part. It's sort of like a equalizer. So it comes out pretty close, but Olton Hall does end up on top statistically. Also, they made 259 of those against only 171.
Only.
Yeah.
Only
Just a few.
171
So, you know,
Haskell class engines.
Take with that what you
Only.
will.
Okay, well
Votes?
we gotta pick one. I think I'm gonna vote Pendennis because it's very neat to see the 4-cylinder 10-wheeler.
I'm gonna vote the Halls because I hate the branch pipes that do the French thing and jog back along the running board. I just don't like it.
That is valid.
Gross.
I'm gonna go with the Halls because 4-cylinder internal wall shirts. Hassel had me up until we got to that point.
I like it
So
as a
an
concept.
upset.
I just don't want to be the one to maintain it. I like the idea
Or
of
build it.
maintaining that as much as I like the idea of maintaining a Shay.
It 4-cylinder internal wall shirts feels like something that should be like in a sealed oil bath.
That was only 2-cylinder internal wall shirt.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've heard this one before. It's on
And
the
it's chain
T1.
driven. Not that one.
No, not that. Not that.
Not
I
the
do wanna
bullied.
say, considering they did build 171 of these, maybe you're onto something, Mark, with not maintaining them. They just built it, ran it until it broke, and then built another one.
Perhaps.
Pushed it off the end of the track into the scrap pile.
Get another one.
I
All
told
right.
them we already built one.
Last
Alright.
match of this episode.
Last match for episode 1. Here we go.
What do we got?
Canadian Pacific 2850 and CB&Q 3007. So we've got a Royal Hudson, so 464, pulled King George V Special train 3,000 miles across Canada. Beer can. Yeah, I will not refute the beer can comment. Versus a very successful type of, again, 464, relatively modern with appliances, extra lights, and Q! Not Dusty's
Royal
cat.
Hudson and a plebeian Hudson.
It's not a Broncos of a locomotive.
We've got the common Hudson and the Royal Hudson. Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
So which would win in a fight?
I just put the stats in, and boy, we'll get to that.
I have no
The Q
idea.
engine is from Chicago, so I assume it's gonna win the fight with the Canadian because that's the Chicago way.
The Canadian's gonna insult the CB&Q engine's pizza, and then the Canadian's gonna end up sleeping in the river with the fishes.
Sure.
You
Which-
bring a grease knife, they bring an Alamite gun. It's the Chicago way.
Yes. Which is a better engine for its purpose? Shrug, I don't really know. They're probably both passenger engines, one would assume.
Give it to the Royal because it looks better as a passenger.
It does.
engine.
I mean,
Sells
other
more
than
tickets.
not the face. Other than the beer can
Yeah.
front and then the
Delaware and Hudson
Iron
looking
Man's
at.
chest piece headlight.
The arc
I love
reactor.
those, though.
Yes, I am.
Never thought of it that way, but now I'm not going to be able to see anything else.
I am not a fan of the recessed headlight. Sorry, all of the D&H. Anyway, which one is more cursed? Probably, the Canadian for that alone on my 2 cents. But
Also, curse. They have a king. We live in the U.S. We don't have kings here.
You know what? You're right. That's a curse.
okay, why would you pick either one? I have a staunch opinion that I think the CB&Q engines look fantastic, and it's an utter crime that more of them don't run. Honestly, stares at our own.
Especially with how many there are.
Yeah.
Or 4960, the one that does run, but also
It doesn't really look like it did. Yeah.
Right.
Why
Which
did it have to get Santa Fe?
Yeah, well, because it's out in Santa Fe territory now.
The Santa Fe deserves to be punished.
Yes. Punish. What did we learn in episode 1? Punish the Santa Fe and Britain.
Crimes of the Santa Fe.
I really think this would turn into a Santa Fe bashing episode, but I'm not mad about it.
But they made nice whistles.
Yeah.
They make great weasels to copy.
Yes. I don't know if anyone else has arguments for why would you pick either one.
Not really.
I'm going to go with the Q engine.
The Royal is streamlined, that's cool, but
yeah
I'm sick and depraved like the rest of yous. I like the Q engines.
They just look good.
Brett's
going to
fit in both.
Yep, for sure.
I would hope so.
So give us the stats then, Ellis.
So, when I put these in, I got a little eyes went wide. It's a tie.
Really?
Statistically, it's a tie. It comes up 19-19. The Q thing has slightly more attractive effort, slightly larger cylinders, slightly larger drivers. The Canadian Pacific engine has higher boiler pressure and wins most of the weight stats. And then the Q engine
calling us Americans fat?
Listen, I'm no comment.
3007 is just big boned.
3007 is big boned. It's got better heating ability pretty much all the way across the board, although it does have a worse heating surface over cylinder volume. And then because of the higher boiler pressure, 2850 does better in the power computations, but not all of them. And yeah, it comes out to a tie. I mean, they're pretty darn close. One of the tiebreakers is the fact that the Q thing has Baker. Or not tiebreakers, but one of the things that contributes is the fact that the Q thing has Baker.
Not that I'm advocating for an aristocracy or a strict class-based system here, but we're talking about one locomotive, even during the height of steam. Like, when maintenance is no problem, everything's fine. One locomotive that's gone 3,000 miles very far away from home and didn't have a notable f***up, that's impressive.
It is impressive.
That is impressive.
Well,
and with that, I'd like to vote for the Q thing.
With that, I'd vote for the Q thing as well. Sorry, Canada. We do love Canada, but
we do.
I can't get over the beer can face.
I'm going to throw this in about the Q things. Now, we're talking about 3007, but I think it was 3001 or 3002. Very early in the class, they took one of these things, streamlined it.
Oh, no.
Like the Zephyrs, and named it Big Alice the Goon.
Oh, we've heard this story before. You mean Aeolus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aeolus, we don't know what it's called.
That one.
It might look worse than the Canadian Pacific Streamliner job.
I kind of like it.
It's kind of neat, but it's kind of weird.
The longer you look at it, the worse it gets, I think.
So winners from this side of the bracket: Montezuma, Morningside, 1225.
I found the slide where this will go.
Cookham Manor, 605 NW 605. This unstreamlined J. Don't look, it's naked. The AC9, Olton Hall, and finally CB&Q 3007. Those are going to be moving on.
I assume we'll make a graphic of that.
Yeah, I'll put something together.
It's right here!
Wow, look at that.
Because you need more to do right now.
It's going to have 6 pixels, but it'll look great.
That's fine. Half the people watch on their phones anyway, so...
Alright, so most of those locomotives are going to get trading cards by virtue of moving on to the next round. Morningside, I don't think it's possible.
Just not enough.
Just not enough data.
Yep.
So little information on this engine.
Well, Ellis, thank you so much for putting this together. All the viewers out there, thank you so much for submitting these, and hopefully we didn't, talk poo-poo on your favorite choo-choo too hard.
Unless it's a Santa Fe, then apparently you deserve it.
Apparently. To hell with the Santa Fe today. It's fine. It's fine. But that's been the first part of the bracket. We have a whole nother side of the bracket for next time, which I was looking at this and I was trying to time it out in my Trello, going, I don't know. I hope we can do these all in March. you know, maybe does March Madness end in April? Maybe it does on my channel. We'll find out.
Fine.
But as always, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.